Welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Deadly Podcast of Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains of Man, where myself, Justin Raymer, attempts to traverse the continuity of Marvel's most prolific martial artists in Iron Fist and Shang-Chi. If you want to keep up the podcast, you can do so over on social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you want to keep up myself, Justin Raymer, you can do so over on Instagram and Twitter X. If you want to hear me and my buddies play some TTRPGs such as Dungeons & Dragons and Resident Evil, you can check out the Last Tavern on the Left podcast, wherever you follow Daily Podcast of Kung Fu at on your social media accounts. We're currently playing The Infinity Crisis of the Omniverse, my manga and comic book inspired campaign. Very manga right now, where the teams of One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach have come through the portals to help Dr. Doom, Kid Goku, and Donatello fight off the Orange Lantern Army. It's been a lot of fun. Really took my players off by surprise, and our good friend Hawk has showed up to play Ichigo Kurosaki. So if you would, please subscribe and listen. But today we're here to talk about hot off the presses and hopefully hot off the podcasting stream. I'm hoping to get this out today here on April 16th. Power Man Timeless number 3. God, this was a good issue. I just wanted to talk about it today, so I'm recording right now at 3:47 p.m. Central Time, hoping to get this out here on the 16th, because I was pretty excited about this issue. I'm really excited about number 4 after reading this issue. But as I said, the issue released on April 16th, 2025, along with a bunch of other titles by Marvel. I did not write down the numbers, and I'm just going to go through the list real fast. Astonishing Avengers Infinity Comic Volume 1 number 12. I just recently covered 1 through 8, which heavily features Shang-Chi on issues 5 through 8. So if you would, please go back on the feed and listen to that. But we've also got Astonishing Spider-Man Infinity Comic number 24, Astonishing X-Men Infinity Comic Volume 1 number 18. As you can tell, I'm really trying to get through this. Cable, Love and Chrome, Volume 1 number 4. Daredevil, Unleash Hell, Red Band, Volume 1, Number 4. The finale to Daredevil Born Again was oh so sweet. I loved it. I was hoping for the Defenders, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, but we did not get them. There's always Season 2. Don't want to wait a year. Exceptional X-Men, Volume 1, Number 8. Godzilla vs. Hulk, Volume 1, Number 1. I hate the fucking internet. This book has already been ruined for me. Fucking hate it. And see, and I'm not even going to post anything about this book if I get it out today until the weekend to give people time to listen to it. Why does everybody always just got to post stuff? But, man, I hate it. Like, now I don't even want to read it. But anyways, Iron Man Volume 7, Number 7. Jeff Infinity Comic Volume 1, Number 47. Marvel Rivals Infinity Comic Volume 1, Number 8. Sam Wilson, Captain America, Volume 1, Number 4. Spectacular Spider-Man, Volume 1, Number 14. Star Wars Legacy of Vader, Volume 1, Number 3. Superior Avengers, Volume 1, Number 1. Ultimate Wolverine, Volume 1, Number 4. Web of Venomverse, Fresh Brains, Volume 1, Number 1. Wolverine, Volume 8, Number 8. And X Factor, Volume 5, Number 9 rounds out the list. The title of the story is called Critical Failure, and your creative team is the hive mind of Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. The artist is Bernard Chang. Follow him on Threads, or I think he's got Instagram, but man, he's always posting some stuff from the books on Threads, and I love it. Your color artist is Marcelo Miolo. Your letters go to Travis Laham, and your cover artist is Andre Bresson and Rochelle Rosenberg. There are also 2 variant covers with this book, and one of them is Shao Lao, all cheat up with orange and yellow energy like he's the Iron Fist, with Luke Cage punching at you, the reader. Man, it is such a badass variant cover. I'm picking it up. I need to. I'm supposed to go out to St. Louis this weekend, do a little comic book shopping. When I go to shops that are not my local guy doesn't pick up variants. He doesn't deal with it. He's a small shop. He doesn't want to waste money. I get it. I used to run a shop smaller than his, and me and him used to help each other out. But that's one thing I like about going to shops that are bigger than mine, that pick up variants. I usually try to hold off on variants if I know I'm going somewhere out of town to do some comic shopping, and I hope to support those LCSs while I'm there by buying some variants that I want. But anyways, beautiful cover and variant cover. Love it. Let's move on to the story. On Araco, Aeon the Knife stands over a defeated Apocalypse. Behind him, the Valley of the Fallen lies in ruin. All who challenge the Inhuman fall to his might. Meanwhile, Mercury, the Celestial Mind, attacks Power Man. It warns Eversight that Luke is an enemy, leading the hero to point out that the system enslaved her. His emotional outburst lets Void slightly emerge before being contained, startling Eversight. Cage tells her the truth about what's within him, but unlike the Celestial Mind, the darkness gives him a choice. Eversight turns his words against him, asking Power Man to choose to help her restore the system and not fight Aeon. Telling Luke of the mutants living on the planet, she knows he's going to help, but asks him not to let the void consume him. Flying to Araco, Cage finds an injured Apocalypse. Nur warns him to flee, but Power Man tells him if they do not stop Aeon together, Earth will fall next. Agreeing to unite, Apocalypse takes Luke's hand and fills Void's power within him. Back on Mercury, Eversight is confused as to why the Celestial Heart never told her of its brother. It informs her of its critical condition and that it requires maintenance. Opening itself up to Eversight, it begins to use her as a host. The fight between Aeon the Knife against Apocalypse and Power Man rages across Acro as he summons the power of the Immortal Hulk. At first it seems their combined strength is enough, but the Inhuman proves to be too powerful. Giving no other choice, Luke summons the power of the Void within him. Through its senses, the Celestial Mind allows Eversight to witness not only the destruction, but into Cage's heart. There she sees the Void watching her, reaching out to her mind. The contact allows Eversight to see the truth of what the darkness is seeking to do, but it's too late. Power Man and Aeon charge one another with the Inhuman sword slicing through him yet again. But unlike their first battle, Luke isn't cleaved in two. Instead, the attack frees Void, separating the evil entity from its host. Watching on in horror, Eversight begs the Celestial Mind to help Cage, but it refuses. Instead, it absorbs her into its being, overriding her consciousness. Now with a vessel to prevent its critical failure, the celestial entity plans to kill Power Man itself. So due to the power editing, if you didn't know that I went shopping, ate some dinner, and to come back and finish this so I can hopefully get it out to you on the day that this book releases. But this issue is awesome. Each issue gets better and better. It's clever, it's very creative, and it gives us, the readers, the fans, a lot to look forward to in issue 4. So kudos to Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing on doing that. I'm very excited for what's going to come after this book. The only thing I did not like about this book is it opens up with Apocalypse battered, beaten, bloody, and Aeon the Knife looking over him. I really wanted to see that fight. I didn't expect really a fight, because Aeon got his ass whooped by Luke in issue 2, so this was kind of surprising to see that he was still capable of beating down Nur after this massive fight with Luke. But we get a team up out of this, which is really cool, between Luke and Apocalypse. Did not expect that coming, and they put up a pretty good fight against Aeon. But Aeon still beats up on Apocalypse. I love Apocalypse. Apocalypse grows kaiju size, which I love when Apocalypse gets that size. And he's got Aeon in his hands, and he hits him with lightning. And he's boasting because, that's what Apocalypse does. And Aeon manages to get his sword through his fingers, because we know it cuts through everything, just a mere touch of his skin. And, slices and dices Apocalypse, which, makes Luke call upon some of the power of the void. But one thing that they brought up in the story, and I didn't even think about this in the last issue, is that they tie just this small thing going on and make it really big when it comes to Inhumans versus X-Men, not too long after Hickman's Secret Wars. So Apocalypse says, Apocalypse welcomes you with a warning. The planet is home to only death, and he's all beat up, bleeding out of his guts, and we see Luke off in the background, just a silhouette, the sun shining on him. See, you've met Aeon. Yes, the final victor of the struggle as old as civilization. The day all wise mutants hoped would never come. The Inhumans have finally fulfilled their promise. They have produced the knife. Just something to fuel that fire there. Just this page, that's all that it's on there, and it's beautiful. I love that. More kudos to Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing on that, because I did not even think about that. in issue 2. This is just a subtle tie-in to this rivalry that's been built up between the Inhumans and the mutants in the last 8-9 years. Love that part. But I'm still upset Apocalypse got his ass whooped. But hey, that's kind of part of it. I get it. Aeon's this big, powerful character, and he just proves how powerful he is. And the one thing about their fight, I'm wondering if the Void is holding Luke's powers back. And which is because he beats up on Aeon in issue 2, but yet him and Apocalypse can't even beat Aeon in this issue, and I think that kind of goes more to what we see happen in this issue. But we get the Sentry origin on how Luke got his powers in this opening page. It's beautiful. We see Aeon the Knife. He looks like he's about to cut Apocalypse's head off with his Cloud Strife sword, as Apocalypse is just bleeding out underneath him. When the Power Man first found Bob Reynolds eviscerated and torn to pieces across the ruins of the Impossible City, he swore vengeance on a feral god responsible. He had held poor Bob in his arms, saw the supernova dying behind his eyes, and rather than run, he let the power flow into him. The power of a million exploding suns. Only the Hulk's unyielding strength kept every cell in Power Man's body from vaporizing. Some secret part of the man known as Luke Cage relished the power. He allowed himself to be transformed once again. But what he learned on the other side was not worth the gain. For only then did Power Man see that it was no feral god who had felled the mighty Sentry. It was me. I absolutely love these narrations from the Void. He is so snide and sure of himself, and it's all a joke to the Void. And I absolutely love it. So now that we have the story of how Luke got the Sentry's powers and how he's got the Immortal Hulk's powers, the only things left is how did he get the power of Shal-Al the Undying, and how did he become an Iron Fist? Hopefully we'll get that in the next issue. Now, we do see him let the Void slip out a bit in this issue. In the last issue, we kind of got the 9-panel page where it was like Luke Void, Luke Void, Luke Void. But he actually slips a little here. And then it kind of spooks Eversight. She's like, what is that? And he has to tell her, what it is. And he kind of compares it to the celestial mind, like, hey, this thing gives me a choice, you don't have a choice. So there's a back and forth there, and then she swings it on him. Well, since you have choice, stay with me, help me rebuild the system. And she knows he's a hero. He is going to go fight. Now, the big part of this book, I should say one of the two big points of this book, is the Void freeing himself from the vessel or the containment unit that is Luke Cage. How they mentioned that breaking the cage, Apocalypse said it, you have to break the cage, and in this book it is really cool. So, and I was kind of confused. So I was like, okay, so they charge at each other, just like they do in the first issue when Luke gets cut in half. But he does not cut Luke. We see this negative effect of the Void, who looks like he gets cut. And it's not Luke, because Luke in Immortal Hulk mode is still throwing the punch. And I was like, how in the world did this happen? There's no explanation in the book on how it happens. It just happens. And Luke realizes he's made a mistake, and then the Void is free. So I had to sit here and think about it, and then it dawned upon me. So if you go back to the origins of Aeon the Knife in issue 2, he basically tells you, when I was reborn, when my powers became manifest, when all things, even the very fabric of space-time, could be cut by the mere touch of my skin. What it sounds like is he cut the barrier, the plane of existence, whatever immaterial, astral chains hold the Void down in whatever dimension that it lives in or it's encased in. He severed those with his sword. And it could only be done when Luke had the Void's powers manifested. And I thought that was super cool. More kudos to Kelly and Lansing on this. I thought that was very clever. Like I said, this is a very clever and creative book. And the thing is, during this entire fight, the Celestial Mind warns Eversight about Luke being, basically a villain. And I'm not saying that he is a villain, but she's wanting him to help. And what he says, with eyes celestial, see now the violence of power. And she's watching Luke and Apocalypse attack Aeon the Knife. Truth is a singular perspective. This man is far from cosmic stability. And she's just trying to get the mind to, see that Luke is a hero. I see a man standing in his truth against cruelty that would end us all. Truth is truth. It is steady and steadfast, like the light of the stars or the orbit of worlds, like he has been to me. You see a threat where I see a protector. This man places himself between the system and certain death. This man is already asunder, it answers her. No, it is the shadow I fear. Look closer, see the monster in the man. And this is happening as he's unleashing the void. So, basically, it's at this critical point, and I don't know if it's because it's hurt because it's lost the heart, and this is an entire system, so it absorbs her into its being, and it makes me wonder if the celestial heart could possibly have done this before it died. But she's wanting to help him, and it's absorbing her inside. You rail against that which is already done. We can, and I have. My override of your consciousness is nearly complete. You were told of my critical failure. I require a vessel, a weapon, a savior. The dark, the light, there is no difference. For this system to survive, Power Man must die. And in the back of these words, we're getting all these images of everything going on. Like her, and we see Luke just not taken over by the void, and then as the void in the background behind it, and then her being absorbed and transformed by the celestial heart. So the question is, what is she going to become? Is she going to become some celestial herself? Because she's already seems like she's quite powerful, I mean, not in the physical aspect, but just her abilities by what we've seen. So what leads me to think is her. I'm not going to say Apocalypse, because he's been sliced and diced and stirred and fried by Aeon. And Luke Cage, are all three of them going to fight the Void? Because he is now completely separated from Luke Cage. And the big question with that is, if that's issue 4, what's going to take place in issue 5? Maybe Luke goes back in his time, can right some wrongs. I don't know. But, I mean, if that you figured fighting the Void would be the big finale, but there's an issue after that. So, man, and I'm just throwing this out here, but is maybe 5 is a lead-in? My little boy, he's having a blast. You gotta excuse him. But maybe this leads into the Ghost Fist stuff. I don't want to say that it does, but I got to thinking, like, this series, from issue 1 to 3 now, has taken place in an extremely short amount of time, maybe hours at the most. Because you gotta think, Luke showed up, he fought Aeon the Knife, Aeon flew past Saturn, he was housed there, he showed up to Saturn after Luke was healed, destroyed the heart, and then him and Aeon fought, he got sent to Mars, they were at Mercury, they found the Celestial Mind, and now they're fighting again. This just all within a matter of hours. It's gotta be. It can't be anything past a day, if anything. Now, when you think about that, the beginning of this book, Luke, when he arrives in the 616, it's at Danny's funeral. So, at the end of the Iron Fist 50th anniversary issue, when we have the QR code with the Ghost Fist punching through the grave, that takes place after this book, is what I'm assuming. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense when you put everything up in a timeline. So I'm wondering if this book is going to be a lead-in to the Ghost Fist that walks, because this ends in June. We know there around the end of May we're getting the Alex Ross Iron Fist variant cover on Daredevil, and I'm wondering if that's also going to have like an end story that fits into the Ghost Walking, because last time Iron Fist was on the cover of a Daredevil book as a variant, that's when the last time we seen Lin Lee Iron Fist, which kind of was before the death of Danny Rand. So, man, something kind of tells me that this might lead into the Ghost Fist at the end of this. Maybe he becomes the Void. I don't know. The Void gets Danny's body. I'm not sure. But I'm very, very excited to where we're leaning into an issue 4 after reading this issue. This, like I said, it's creative. It builds up a lot, and I love it. This was great. I enjoyed this issue far more than what I ever thought I would, and I really liked issue 1 and 2. Now, we've been talking about All New Venom, written by Al Ewing. It's not Luke Cage. The internet's probably ruined that for you before it even happened. It was everywhere. I'm not saying that I don't hate Mary Jane as Venom. There's a lot of history. She hates the symbiote with a passion. I would say that she probably hates the symbiote more than she probably hates Norman Osborn, considering how much torment that she's had to the symbiote compared to Norman. But yeah, it's not Luke Cage. But it's Al Ewing. Have faith in Al Ewing, man. The guy's a great writer. I'll continue to read it. But that'll wrap up this episode of the Deadly Podcast Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains Man. If you want to keep up the podcast on social media, you can do so over on Twitter, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you like music, check out Rushing Tiger by Kuro over on SoundCloud. But remember, guys, in the end, please support your favorite podcasts, support your local comic book shops, and keep reading comics, guys.